Oh,
It's a standoff.
stand off. Oh,
It's a
And we started
standoff.
recording. But also, it sort of has a weird thing. It's like, well, technically, we go by math, we round up, but we both have half, so it's sort of a draw.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like I said, it's a draw pretty much. It's a tie.
Yeah, going on. Hello, everyone. This is NGC joining in for another podcast. This time, continuing sort of our E3 news stuff and also what we've been up to. But joining me again is going by random Skype order, Jenn.
Hello, I may be first, I may be last, I may be late to dinner, but I am first and always Jenn. Hello, everybody.
Next up, Day.
Oh, hello everybody, Daylover here. How you all doing? Hope you're doing great. We are going to have a great time chatting about a whole bunch of weird stuff. So if you're ready for that, I am. Whee! Next.
And Carlos.
hello there. This is Gunmetal Gator here. Get ready, get excited. Media across the world has finally flowed in an exciting news for a long time, and I'm gonna bring it all to you all.
All right. And then I just want to bring up, because I sort of keep mentioning this, like when I say random Skype order, yeah, it really is random. We have no idea how it works on my end, or it's not alphabetical. It's not by who jumps in first. It's just there. Anyway, I guess what have you all been up to?
Let's see. I'll go first. What I've been up to. I have just been surviving at my temp job and just dodging cicadas, back and forth. But they are happily dying off now. Hey, second.
Hey, how's it going?
The cicadas are happily supposedly dying off right now. So the threat is running away. But pretty much just working, dodging cicadas and all that stuff.
Yeah, that reminds me of a Facebook post where someone said that my new favorite hobby is watching people dodge cicadas.
That's the new Olympic sport. Dodge cicadas.
Apparently there's also some cases where people eat cicadas. Yeah, I'm like,
Should be pretty hungry.
I'm like, no, just no.
No, they're like frying them and putting them on pizza and stuff. It's just like no, it just.
I think like the worst thing I tried with that is like beetles and caramel, but I didn't know they were in there, so.
I think someone tried chocolate covered cicadas. I think I heard somewhere about chocolate covered cicadas once.
No.
Like, no. If anyone tried that, I'd be like, dumped. Okay.
Just keep it away from me.
Exactly. I mean, there are worse things. Some things, those people who are like so vehement about like, pineapple does not belong on pizza. I was like, well, neither does cicadas.
Well, like if you can put the pineapple on afterwards, then it's nice and fresh and cold.
No, that would only motivate.
I like it.
I love Hawaiian pizza. Yeah, Yeah, I don't care who judges. I love it. I put like Hawaiian. I love Hawaiian pizza, and I put like jalapeno on it to make it even spicier. Oh, yeah. Cannot lose.
I really like pineapple in my noodles, like stir-fried noodles.
Oh wow, that is different.
That's good.
Different.
Actually, you may tell you like a great interesting recipe is if you basically cook sweet corn and then put pineapples in it, it makes it a sort of nice, it's interesting flavor.
Huh.
Oh wow, that is.
I'd try that in one day. Yeah.
That definitely is interesting. That just only makes me more motivated to make a pizza with cicadas and pineapple on it. I'd be like, here you go. I'd be like, hey, let's see how you react to that. I mean,
I'll just be like, Jen, what are you doing? Take a
that's probably the most unholy offense to pizza in the world.
This just gave me a fun idea for like a pizza place. It'd be basically get like a pizza that's basically every slice is like a weird slice, and you basically play Russian roulette but with pizza slices.
Oh
my
no,
God.
why? Why would you do that? I guess it's like the jelly beans. There's
Yeah.
these jelly
Oh
beans
my
with
goodness.
different flavors.
Or you know what? You could make it
the
a
Stunt
challenge.
spray is just so disgusting. Ugh.
You can make it a challenge or something. Someone makes a pineapple. Somebody makes like a pineapple thing with cicadas, pizza with cicadas on it.
No,
And
why?
whoever and like okay, you get $100 or $1,000.
No, I need
$1,000
$1,000 for doing that
thing.
though.
If you eat the whole thing, or
No.
you can be like every slice you eat and you don't like throw up, you get like I don't know $10 or something. I don't know, some sort of money to however many slices you eat.
I
And
want
finish
1,000.
the whole pie, probably $1,000.
Yes.
And we'll see who's desperate enough. And I would love it to see to see people who are like, oh, pineapples are bad on pizza, like, oh, cicadas are bad on pizza. We're like, okay, well, here's both. Let's see how desperate you are.
Yeah.
Like, can you literally put your money where your mouth is?
Sounds like that show, what it is, Fear Factor.
Oh my gosh, that needs to
No.
be a show. That needs to be a thing on the next Fear Factor. I'll take payment in cash. Anyway,
It's fine.
second, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm the Second Opinion. I'm from a critic first and a fan second. Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm live. And hi, I don't like cicadas on pizza either, for the record.
There you go.
Wow.
There
I
you
don't know
go.
how we got onto that tangent in the middle of the show, though.
It was my fault. I talked about
Let's just let that pizza fly away by itself, right?
actually just let it bury itself in the ground for 17 years and then come back up.
Oh no, zombie
Except
pizza.
without that last
That's
part.
what cicadas do. That's what cicadas do. They go out, they
Ew.
mate, and then they go out, then they mate, and the male ones just die, and then the female ones lay their eggs, and they die, and then the larvas come out, and then they bury themselves in the ground 17 years, and then they come out and
Images
do
in my brain, please no.
Boy.
But I look at it this way: when this thread is over, we just have to wait another 17. We're fine for another 17 years.
Well, actually, cicadas, like, when they say it's that time, it's usually not that time in every area. It's like different areas trade off.
And there's also like mini broods in between.
Oh yeah, this one was so funny. This one was called like Brood X. It was quite funny. It was quite funny with the Brood X. So I was like, does anyone make like a horror movie about this?
Oh, somebody definitely needs to make a horror movie about this.
I think
zombie pizzas with dead cicadas on it.
Oh my goodness, yes. Why not?
So creepy.
It's like, okay, we need to eat cicadas. Why? Because we're running out of food. Let's put it on pizza. All right. Take the cicadas off, and you still have food, and
Truth.
You haven't lost much, I gotta say.
Truth. Very, very truth.
So what we have been up to, I've been streaming and holding my dad's birthday, getting ready for like soon to go, and yeah, all in all good things. So yeah, not that much different from before, but yeah, it's been great. So next.
Okay, this is the What's Up news section.
Yeah, what have you been up to, Second?
Okay, in the world of geekdom.
Generally.
Well, like just general, yeah.
Yeah, but
I've been playing a lot of Star Trek too, yeah.
Yeah, this one might be a little more focused, like smaller, but more important actually. Like, got a couple of particularly the Stunt Double for Gimli just came forward with his story. Apparently, it was something of an open secret that Gimli in The Lord of the Rings was, well, as far as creating the character as we know and love him, that might have actually been an even split between the actor and the stunt double Brett Beatty. And as far as who put more effort into the role, that one really isn't close. Like, apparently, some highlight reels of Gimli you could watch on YouTube, about some of them as little as 4 seconds might be the actor who actually got the credit. The stunt double was, because to be clear, the actor, despite playing a dwarf, is over 6 feet tall. They needed a stunt double, and not just for the actual stunts. And this guy is like an experienced horseback rider, martial artist, just like he didn't have a ton of theater experience at all, but was basically thrown into the deep end when they realized that one of their horse stuntmen was a pretty good body double for Gimli. So this guy was throwing himself off ledges, breaking knees, burying himself in mounds of prosthetics in ways that some people were like physically incapable of doing, like the level that Jim Carrey had to take CIA torture endurance training to do in The Grinch. And literal fumes everywhere every time, and like some people couldn't stand it for a few minutes, and the rule on set was all other actors, okay, their limit is 1 hour. This guy was doing it a minimum of 12 hours a day.
What?
And
oh wow.
Yeah, and the crew knew it too. They actually said to him, because I mean, this guy, it's like actually a little bit nuts how not bitter about any of this guy was, just like realizing he had been thrown in the deep end, yes, but was a part of something very extensive, and that was like a huge passion project, and he just basically like knew what he was there for and held no bitterness towards it, and dove all in. And the crew realizing how much they were on set with this guy in the scene, instead, like they said to him, you know what, you should go to the producers and say you want a credit in this movie, a proper credit that reflects how much work you're putting in. And they said, oh sure, next week, no wait, movie politics and stuff, sorry, plus we're kind of worried it might break the illusion of Gimli.
Okay.
So they suck, but The 9 actors have, though, like, they had a little personal ceremony with like so much bonding on set that each getting an elvish 9 tattoo to represent their bond. And
I've heard of that.
And the Gimli actor does not have one. The stunt double does.
Wow.
That's how close they were. And to be fair to the actor, he's like,
wow.
to be fair to the actor, he's not like pretentious about what his role was at all. He says that he up front admits that he sent his stunt double to do a lot of it. But
Right.
This guy, like, he knew he'd never even be able to work this hard again. He has not been in a lot of movies since then. They were nice enough to give him work in the Hobbit movies, but basically he just owns a farm, does stunt work here and there, and has never really told his story until now.
Wow.
Is there any movie where the stunt double actually gets credit?
Oh, they all get credited as stunt doubles, but this guy, like...
Where? Like on the back of movies? Or
in the credits that go up in the end, if you wait a while, you'll see stunt doubles. But like this guy,
I've never seen that
wasn't
before.
just doing Gimli stunts. Like I said, you look up Gimli highlight reels. This guy said like the first one he found, all but 4 seconds of it were him, and nobody knows that. Like I think he had to, if not speak from what it sounds like, probably say some of Gimli's lines. Like, I mean, just there are, I mean, they like his size, his capability in the action scenes. I mean, it's not just like, okay, we need to throw you off a ledge and then we're gonna swap the actor back in. No, like he was Gimli a lot of the movie. Like they said that despite that, if the producers had followed through what everyone else said he should have had and what they were apparently really were about to give him, he would have had a co-credit for he and the other guy would have had co-credits for playing Gimli.
Wow, so he's I guess he's the real member of the Fellowship.
Yeah, that seems to be how a lot of the actors see it. Like Orlando Bloom made the effort to reconnect with him when they made the Hobbit movies after not seeing each other for a couple of years. Like, I guess
Right.
Hollywood actors can only stay in touch so long, but like it seems like
Wow.
this is more than just a relationship that happened. Like it seems like they kind of value it a bit.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one thing like you get from Hollywood and all that. Like there is a lot of politics and like credit, how you're credited, not just because of payment, but also just because of politics in the system. Like I recall, that's like I forget what he worked, like the director of like John Wick and all that is sort of unofficially directing several movies beforehand because he was only credited as like a stunt worker.
Oh wow.
Oh, is that like how Steven Spielberg, it's like an open secret that he's actually the director of Poltergeist, even though the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre has credit?
I'm not sure about that one, but that's also one of the issues with like producer, because there's basically sometimes very, very hands-on producer, which is like rumored what Spielberg used to be like in the 80s, sort of shadow directing. And then there's also producers that basically just like sign, like get the checks and like the mail and all that and do the finances and all that, which it sounds like I'm being petty about that, but no, like that is a job. That is like basically in charge of finances. Like executive producer and producers like do that. That is important. But yeah, that's
the
one of those
reason
things.
Poltergeist is the one people refer to when they say that is because apparently the Texas Chainsaw guy was a very hands-off director who was kind of just grateful to be there. Like he would go into meetings, listen to Spielberg's suggestions, like we could do this or this, and then would basically say, "Sounds good," and then he would show up to sets, like rearrange a couple of the camera angles, do a director's work, but not this movie is my vision, not somebody else's work.
Alright. But I guess it said, Carlos, you want to go up next?
Okay. Well, I definitely have a lot of news for like the non-gaming front. So let's begin with that, shall we?
Okay.
So first up, let's go ahead and talk about like an oldie but a goodie franchise that's been spanning for over 20 years. That being YuGiOh. They released the last episode for like the first 52 episodes of the season for like YuGiOh 7's, the 7th YuGiOh season. And it ended in a way that I believe second, it could be something heartwarming for like someone who was an old school Yu-Gi-Oh fan. Do you remember
so we
the
put that on the watch list day.
Yes.
So second, do you remember the Battle City finals?
What, Yugi versus Merrick?
Yeah, but what if the situation was instead Yuki versus Joey?
So if they'd let Joey pull off that upset that like, if only, but yeah, can't do that because gotta climax with the villain and stuff.
What if I were to tell you they did do that and they got Joey to win?
Ooh, plot twist.
The ultimate plot twist.
Yeah.
In this case, it is the best friend of Yuga here, Luke, who basically defeated Yuga basically on a set of trap card which can only be activated when he had 10 or more level 7 monsters in his graveyard for him to special summon a level 7 monster from his hand onto the field and commit a battle phase. After the main character already used all of his spells and traps in order to try to clinch his win with his magician monster.
So yeah, one of those rise above the massive combo play. Just the not only did he win, he straight up legitimately won. He gave every bit as good as he got on the last play.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: at the very beginning of the game, the main character bricked. I'm not joking. Yuga bricked in the first turn and had a terrible hand and did not know what to do with it. For just bringing out 2 monsters and some trap cards. That was it. Nothing explosive. And this was like a running joke because the first time the rival and the best friend and the main character fought, the same situation happened. And then, following that, the main character manages to turn it around in order to summon his Maximum monster, which is like this big, gigantic monster that is forged from 3 cards combining together to make a big 4,000 attack point monster with 3 effects onto it.
For those of you, by the way, who don't play YuGiOh, we'll start speaking English again in a minute. Don't worry.
Yes. Yeah. Like so, literally, it's like a main deck like summon monster that like you need to have 3 pieces of it to complete. So it's like a smaller version of Exodia basically, with not the OTK move of winning the game. Yeah. And then following that, like. Luke managed to be the first character without a maximum to actually defeat a maximum in a match, which that didn't happen before in the series. And then, while this whole separate plot line has been going on, in which like someone's trying to delete this new format that Yuga made, which turns out to be the guy whose name is an anagram for Seto, named Otis. He's trying to delete Rush Duels, and everyone's just like racing around trying to figure out, is there any way to prevent this? Is there any way to stop this? And no one has a clue. And then the main character and the guy is like, let's make this last Rush Duel the best Rush Duel. Because even if we stop the match now, either way the game's going to get deleted. So why not go out with a bang? And that they did. And a climactic fight in which both of them brought out their ace monsters with some of their newer ace monsters and full level 7, like 3 level 7s all at once on the field for each side. It got incredibly intense to the point that like Yuga got down to like 500 life points. Meanwhile, Luke just barely scraped by with 100 life points. But at the moment, you're just thinking like, okay.
We are in full spoiler territory now, though. Maybe this is like...
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just because, like, barely anyone really talks about this show. Like, I'm just trying to, like, sell this, like, to the very best, because I'm not even going to, like, specifics here. But in the end, basically, the surprise upset happens. The main character actually gets childish and whines to himself, saying like, "Oh man, I was really working my hardest." Like, despite the fact he was one of the most mature child kids in the show, the fact he still has a bit of childish to him.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, and then when like it's revealed that the main character actually had a bit of like a backup plan for like in case of like a Rush Duels did get deleted, in which was simultaneously trying to reinstall it at the same time, succeeds. And then they end this off with an interesting plot hook in which a giant UFO is seen in the horizon where the moon is. And
the alien ending? Really?
Yes! Aliens!
They went the Crystal Skull route. Really? They went the Crystal Skull route.
And that's the wackiness of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. The fact that that the alien plotline was actually foreshadowed in the early episodes.
Wow.
I'm just letting you know. The same plot twist and such. This makes the show like I probably feel like it's honestly like the dirt best Yukio show right now, and the fact that they executed all this stuff. I'm sorry. I'm really being serious when I say this. I feel like this show might have did better than GX, and it's now like in the top 3 with like Zexel and 5Ds.
Ooh.
I'm being serious, guys. And that's only from the first season. We still have another season to go, and probably maybe a few more episodes afterwards. We might be looking at like an even better version of Zexel, which that might mean Sevens might become numero dos on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Best series list.
Wait, I thought 5Ds was the best series list.
Yeah, no, I said number 2. Like 5Ds is clearly number 1. 5Ds is clearly number 1.
Oh, I thought people hated Zexel.
Zexel, it was hated at first because of how the beginning started out, but then when people actually saw the rest of the show, they saw an inexperienced kid had the best character development out of any Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist. That's Zexel's strongest suit.
Yeah. If followings don't die easy, it sounds like, if that's accurate, that it has a mixed reception.
Yeah, it had a mixed reception, especially from the first impression. But longtime Yu-Gi-Oh fans who actually paid attention and listened to the show, many of them can actually say Zexel is one of the better seasons.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Trey.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically like Yukio 7's like first season in a nutshell for you guys. And then let's go ahead and talk about the Digimon reboots 53rd episode, which yeah, like that show in of itself did like an homage to the original Mimi focused episode in the original Digimon season. About Shogun Gekkomon, if you remember that big lug of an ultimate.
Don't remember what.
Like the big frog guy with the Gekkomon and the Otamimon.
Wish I remembered that. Sorry.
Yeah, but instead of like using Mimi for the focus, they instead put the focus on Joe. And have Shogun Gekkomon do one of the most creepiest things I've ever heard in the Digimon series. Asking Gomamon to be his bride. Yes.
Yeah, that's forward thinking.
Forward thinking.
Like,
that's the best term I've heard for it. Forward thinking. That's the first term I've heard for like in a situation like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets very ridiculous with like because like Joe's by himself with like the 2 little kids of TK and Kari with their Digimon being depowered after fighting off against the Eldritch God of the Digimon world. That's why they're not able to Digivolve.
I don't know that. I mean, is this supposed to be played seriously, or like, what is this?
I guess a bit more of a jokey way, but like people do take it realistically creepy. Including Gomamon himself in the situation.
Of course.
I mean, I know philosophical debate. It's the mind that should be front and center. It says some sides, but I mean, yeah, like, yeah, this hypothetical example, yeah, it's like not since Donkey and Dragon, which.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Oh
that.
yes, that situation.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I mean, that works because they live in a very anything goes world, but
yeah, just know that like basically like Tai shows up and helps out, and they decided to like let's be tactical and not use our nukes on this castle in order to prevent Gomamon from being hurt. And in the result, they basically let the Gekkomon into like a fake sauna because he was stealing all the hot waters. And Joe was like rallying up a bunch of Nanimon and a Blossomon to like help him out because they became companions in the filler in between the season because of like he was stuck in a sauna for the entire filler arc.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, like them all working together, and then basically Joe gets the title of Lord from like Shogun Gekkomon, revering him, and it's just like, okay, Joe's gimmick here is still going up. He first went from like becoming the leader in the eyes of Gatomon and Kari to now just being a lord to an ultimate Digimon. He doesn't know. Like his desire for respect and admiration has actually succeeded.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's the hilariousness of like Digimon over here.
Yeah.
Very insane, very wacky, and very creepy all at the same time. Oh,
Yep.
and last two bits of like non-gaming media, we get the premiere for Owl House season 2,
Mhm.
which we got 2 episodes released now, and by oh my, oh, I'm seeing some of those restrictions being removed, and we're seeing the wonderful images of Dana Terrace.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like looks like we might be getting the actual hints earlier than say a Kurosami, if you know what I'm saying.
Ooh.
Yeah. And lastly but not least is Tuca and Birdie season 2 is out on Adult Swim. Give it up for that Netflix
Okay.
show that got canceled and then recovered thanks to the awesomeness of that is Adult Swim.
Oh, Adult Swim.
Bringing back some good old shows and giving them the finales or continuing seasons that they all deserved. Right, Samurai Jack?
Mhm.
True that.
Yeah. Like, it's really enjoyable and such. It's just like, really enjoying all this new content, you know? And I hope you guys found some other shows that you also watch. And so, type it in the comments. Like to hear it. Like to hear it when I'm checking out the video.
Oh,
All of the shows.
all the shows. There's just so many. There's just so much. Like so much on
Yeah.
Netflix. I'm missing everything. There's so much I need to catch up on.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
especially
that's
with like new coming shows like Power Rangers coming very soon to be at home at
Mhm.
Netflix.
yeah.
Okay.
That's the one thing I'm sort of think I'm finally getting over the hump of my gaming focus, so I'm probably going to be switching over, catching up more on anime.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I probably watched several undubbed shows. Also, speaking of which, I just finished the first season of Fire Force.
Oh,
Mm.
How is
was
that?
it?
How is that?
It's okay. I don't mean
Oh,
in like a bad way, but like as in, no, it's actually, I would say it's pretty good, but it's not like the next big shonen. It's like a very unique shonen that's somehow gotten a
Right.
lot of seasons.
Yeah. I mean, then again, David Protections doesn't really work on anything else except for Cells at Work and JoJo.
Mm.
But I mean, it is a good show, especially action. Just sort of is like one of those like shonen that sort of only get like a 12 episode season or something like that, but somehow gotten a whole bunch of seasons. And it's just sort of unique in its focus. But I mean, it is good, but I'm just like, it's not like, I would say no, it is a good show. It's just not like the next big shonen thing. I think I might should have watched maybe Black Clover, try to catch up on that first because that technically ended the anime at least. But no, I actually am enjoying it. I probably will pick up the rest and try to go through season 2. Let me see what I was going to say. But the other thing I've just been watching up is I think I mentioned I before I finished caught up with Slime. And let me see. I think I mentioned all the other anime I was working on. That's the one main I've been working on, and also game stuff because Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart came out last weekend, and as a recording, and yeah, I played that a lot. I platinumed that thing.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Because Ratchet Clank is like my most endearing game from my childhood, I would like to say, Sorveria. Because I remember as a series that I grew up with, like when I was like in late grade school. No, yeah, I'm pretty sure just late grade school. I remember playing the first game, and Ratchet Clank was like and specifically Insomniac. Like my first internet account I ever created was to create a forum account for the Insomniac boards back in the day.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm a big fan. So yeah, I platinumed that, and it was a very good, satisfying game, and just beautiful to behold. It really is like an actual next gen game, and I felt the story was good because it was a good story, but it wasn't too complex, which I felt was a big issue with sort of like a Crack in Time and Future Tools of Destruction, where it started to try to get a little too comic booky, where comic books can sort of get a little too insane. It's too like
this is true.
Convoluted.
Oh yeah, that is true. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, go ahead. I'll wait.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I felt this game keeps its story in check, where it's like a very simple and easy to follow story, like endearing and emotional, but like it's not like you don't need like a little conspiracy board to try to piece everything together. And there's a whole bunch of nods to other Sony IP in it. Yeah, I said I already platinumed through that, and yeah, the only other game because it was on sale and I bought it, it's like, oh, I might as well finish it before I take a little break from gaming. Technically I bought two games. One was the Uncharted Lost Legacy like DLC game, which I never played. It was on sale for $10. It's like, well, I meant to always finish that, so playing through that right now. Then the game I'm saving for next month, but I just finally bought the DLC pass, which basically has it. What it is, the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna DLC, because it had like $30 like still on my Nintendo account. I was like, well, it adds up pretty much. I might as well just buy it now and just have it install. Which, yeah, I found out there's a weird download glitch on the Switch, which was like messing with it after like a software update. So it took me like an hour to just get it to actually download.
Yes. Reminded me of that.
Sorry. Oh, I forgot to say. Did I tell you guys I finally watched Invincible?
No.
No.
Okay, I must have forgot. I forgot I did, but a while back me and my boyfriend took a trip like upstate, and we found ourselves like on the couch and such, and we Invincible was on. I was like, I've heard some about this, and I actually for the first time binge watched it. It was, and I was like, oh wow, my gosh, this is so good. And then I found it was getting a season 2, and season 2 I was like, yes.
Actually, it's getting a season 3.
Yeah.
It's getting a season 3. Okay, it's getting another season, so I was like really happy about it. And then I actually read a little bit of what the story is going to entail, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness they're getting another season. But makes me, because there is so much to tell, and I'm so curious of how they're going to visualize it and such. I was shocked to see, I was shocked to see so much like actual blood and gore and such, but I was shocked a little bit, but I was like, I'm enjoying this. But yeah, I'm excited that Invincible's getting another season, but there's a certain moment that's coming up apparently in the canon story that I'm really, 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 really morbidly curious of how they're gonna do.
Yeah, the one thing is
interesting.
I haven't actually watched the show, but I've watched basically a whole bunch of highlights on YouTube, and also I've seen basically breakdowns of the comic storyline, so I do know where everything is going.
Right. I would say watch the show. It's actually quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like pretty much a lot of the blood and guts and gore that you see that you see in Mortal Kombat and such. Oh yeah.
Oh well.
I'm just shocked to see it in an animated thing like this, but I'm like I'm shocked, but at the same time I'm kind of okay with this.
I think I think why it stands out so much is it very much is in the aesthetic style of like Superman the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's just like that
with a lot
like
more
animated,
blood now.
and it was like that like the core art direction is sort of like that sort of aesthetic. It's
Yeah.
like it's simple design, but like extreme gore just happens with it.
Exactly.
And that's why it's so jarring.
Exactly. Exactly. That was the reason I'm like, wow. But it's amazing. Definitely recommended. Not for if you have young kids though. Not if you have young kids though. Your kids have to at least be 18.
18 plus, yeah.
Plus. Totally.
Though to be fair, how many of us in here has watched a whole bunch of rated R movies when like you weren't even 12?
Yeah. Although mainly that was like from the 80s when the big ones to see were kind of soft R's, like Terminator 2. I feel like, yeah, those could very well have been PG-13 if they came out today.
No, but I really do find not just like R rating, like all the things like, oh, you got to be 18 or something to see is like, okay, I know you have to enforce that and like you should, it is good advice generally is like to give a recommendation, but like no one like honestly like waited until they're 18 to see this content when they were a kid. Like it's just it's
good,
yeah, it's like
like we had it in video games too, like Mortal Kombat. So
especially video games.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, like most kids, if they like know that they like gore and can handle it, they're gonna dive head first in. Yeah, I mean there are the few who are like gonna realize that they're sensitive and say no, and there are also a few that are gonna realize they're sensitive too late. But yeah, on the whole.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just one of those funny things because like a lot of, especially like a lot of the older like media personalities, like oh he was like 18, some of them get like very like protectors, like okay you could not look me in the face and said you did not watch this stuff when you were like 5 or something too. It's like I understand you mean, but like at least be a little honest. It's like when the stereotypical sex ed at school was like oh abstinence is like okay that's you're just being a liar right at this point.
Yeah, honestly, like I think at the 12th grade, I had this teacher who kind of realized that and just found like somebody who was in the curriculum who like put together a speech on like what was it? Okay, so realizing that I didn't like the now you should always wait until you are and also didn't like the what was it? Now we know you kids have literally no control over yourself. You cannot control that you are absolutely going to be starting sexual activity in months if you haven't already, but safety first. That's all we're here to teach it. That's they just had brought in, so this guy came up with this speech to give us the case purely from the personal fulfillment side of things, the benefits of waiting and whether it's for you, just like flat and straightforwardly, and I'm like, okay, I can at least respect that.
Yeah. All right, but like moving on from that to I guess sort of the news stories and leading into the topic is like E3 happened and we sort of did predictions and discussions last time, but now it's sort of happened, sort of didn't, because it was like basically a stream-only E3, and even though I think the big winners weren't really that big of a winners if we compare it to previous E3s.
No, that's true.
But I guess let's just go over some highlighting news stories. I guess just going up the top, just generally from an order I remember from when they're announced. Elden Ring has finally had release dates. It's going to be coming out next year in January, in theory. This is the From Software team that's made Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and Bloodborne, It's their new open world game with story direction from George R.R. Martin.
Oh, wow.
And let me see, that was announced. And let me see, then there's big Xbox thing where Xbox revealed a whole bunch of exclusive Game Pass stuff coming to Game Pass, and also saying Starfield is coming out, showing some cutscene and being like, oh yeah, it's coming out November 22, so next year. Then some Halo footage where I think it was mostly just focused on the multiplayer, and there's a whole bunch of Game Pass games coming to Game Pass soon, like Hades, which actually I do look forward to Hades. I'm playing on PlayStation finally, because it's also coming out in August too. And then let me see. Oh yeah, Tim Schafer's Psychonauts 2 is coming out in August, and also on Game Pass. Back 4 Blood is coming out on Game Pass. Let me see. I think they confirmed that there is going to be an Outer Worlds 2. Eventually, a lot of like Xbox things eventually. And then I guess moving on to Nintendo, which I'm rushing over things, but we can go back and go over highlight points from this. Nintendo announced a whole bunch of like smaller games like Wario Party and like Advance Wars remake or remaster-ish thing. And then the big thing they announced is that, oh yeah, here's Breath of the Wild 2 more gameplay, and it's a release date of next year.
For Breath of the Wild.
And it's not just going to be in dungeons, it's also going to be in the sky. So,
little bit of like some Skyward Sword action here.
That is a strong hint, especially since they're releasing Skyward Sword. The big non-announcer from them, which is bringing up, was like I felt I'm not surprised they didn't announce it. Oh, actually, the other thing I'm not surprised they didn't announce is the Legend of Zelda collection. I was sort of like the Mario collection they had last year, which I'm not surprised they didn't announce it, because if they are, I guarantee they would have waited until after Skyward Sword is released, because they don't want to steal what little thunder that game has for a full price remake of a Wii U game. But yeah, because they didn't announce any other Zelda projects, but I'm still holding out hope that there will be a 3-game collection of Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, and Ocarina of Time. I'm still holding out hope. But I guess, yeah, going over, what are some of your E3 highlights from those who heard about them?
Well, are you talking about like what they released?
Or what was announced, or what was just brought up and just sort of highlights?
Well, like definitely, yeah. It seems to be Zelda have overtaken everything. It looks beautiful. It's just not my cup of tea of games. And Monkey Ball of all things. When I saw it started that commercial, I was just like, this better be Donkey Kong. But then it was Monkey Ball, and then I was just like, what is going on? What are you guys doing? Are you insane? Why would you do that to your fans? But I guess like one monkey is better than the other. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of game announcements. But it was like a lot of like what essentially would be through like gaming handheld games. If Nintendo was still doing like a handheld, like their WarioWares, their Advance Wars, like remake, their like Monkey Ball, like stuff that are like smaller games, but are still new games and different.
Yeah, that Wario weird game.
Oh yeah, and also the Metroid
bad.
Dread.
Oh yeah, the Metroid, that looked beautiful. Like, I once when I was younger, I played a little bit of Metroid, but it's again not one of my games that I go to. But it looked really, really cool, and yeah, she looks like she should.
Yeah, I haven't
Sorry
yet
if I'm
played
spoiling it later.
Yeah. So I haven't yet played, I think, a Metroid, but I do mean to actually go back and play Super Metroid on either my Switch
it's so
or my...
hard. Like the old games of Metroid and stuff like that is so hard. So freaking hard.
But the good thing with the mini Super Nintendo or the Switch thing, it's basically you can create a whole bunch of save states. So a lot of the hard games you can make a lot easier. Like I blazed through, I think Mario X. I mean Mega Man X. Because
that shouldn't be a game that you just glaze through.
But hey, I just wanted to finally beat that game from my childhood, Mega Man X.
Yeah, that's like I had it the same way with Crash Bandicoot, but actually they haven't done anything with the difficulty in that. So here we go again with that. I'm not going to defeat that ever again in my lifetime because like I was so much better at that when I was younger. Playing it now, I just like crash and burn every time I try. I got further in Spiral, but it's still hard.
But yeah, I haven't played, like I said, I haven't played any of the Metroidvania himself, but I haven't played any yeah, I want to keep saying Metroidvania, but I just mean Metroid. Metroid games.
Yeah.
But like, what I was trying to get to is like, yeah, I haven't played any Metroid games, but I have played a whole bunch of Metroidvanias, which is probably one of my favorite indie game genres. Because I really love like Axiom Verge, like the Owlboy. Oh gosh, what's that one with the 2D and like Elysium Tales or
we don't know, sadly.
No.
Or I don't know.
Yeah, it was like done by like that one very furry art style. There's basically everything was hand drawn. Can't remember. Elysium Tales or
Ethereum. Never heard about it. But speaking of indie games, like I play a lot of Stardew Valley. That's for sure. That's also why I want the Animal Crossing for the Switch. Going to do so much time in that. But something I was really surprised about was that they didn't have any Donkey Kong game or Smash character. Like that was really weird.
They did announce new Smash characters, like some of them from Tekken.
Yeah, but I was just like, that's fine and all, but where's Donkey Kong? Like, he have to have his due time.
Are you talking about Smash?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Donkey Kong's already in.
He's already in Smash Brothers.
Oh, he is? So,
yeah.
The guy that I watched somebody called Dylan react to the Smash, and he was in his Donkey Kong outfit, so he was waiting for a game release, not character, I guess.
Yeah, there was some rumor that they might be making like another smaller Donkey Kong game or like
Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, like and basically sort of like how the Metroid Dread is like a smaller Metroid game before Metroid Prime 4. I think there's rumors that they're working on like a equivalent of that with Donkey Kong.
Yeah, Metroid Prime definitely needs to be the bigger one if they're doing that. But I don't think I got any of the things that I predicted last time. I don't even remember what I was thinking about. Besides putting a Bubble in Smash. That's the only thing I can remember. But yeah. And a lot of Japanese games too that I don't know anything about. But it's always like that, I think. Or maybe that's just me. Like every time it's just like this Japanese game, and I'm just like, what is this? So weird.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Speaking of which, like one of the games that announced but sort of went out with the whimper was the Square Enix's next Marvel game, which is going to be I think it was called co-op shooter for Guardians of the Galaxy. But
that it looked nice, but I was just like, oh, this is kind of disappointing for the players that want something like Banjo or Kazooie or what's that all called? Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter, maybe. Like, it had so much potential of being like that instead of just shooter. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm just picky.
Well, I think like a lot of people were sort of just let that. Like I said, it sort of came out the whimper.
Okay.
It's mostly not because of gameplay itself, but just because it's like, oh yeah, Square Enix is doing another games for service Marvel game that will probably go as well as Avengers did.
Oh no, poor. Like I hope it's good. Like I hope it can be like, no, I'm actually good.
But speaking of which, I don't think it brought up last time. But like, yeah, another game I beat before going to Ratchet Clank was I finally got around to playing the Spider-Man 2016 and Spider-Man Miles Morales as sort of like an Insomniac game before Ratchet Clank, because I just wasn't in the mood for a Spider-Man game for a while, so that's why I have not played it yet. But yeah, it is a very good game.
Like, what is it based over? Is it based over any of the movies or anything? I don't know.
It's completely, like, they basically create their own Spider-Man universe. And, like, it's completely isolated from everything else, and they're building up their own story. And it really does work in its favor, because it's sort of like creating its own thing. That's I think this iconic suit has, like, a lot more white in it than, like, the regular Spider-Man suit. It just sort of like it helps establish their own image, which is good. Very good, fun game. And then Miles Morales is its sort of semi-sequel. It's basically the spin-off in between Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 that will eventually come out.
Okay. A little bit confusing to me, but sure. If you like it. Sounds nice.
It's basically like a shorter game that's it's sort of like how some games have like DLC.
Oh, okay.
It's like big enough
it.
where it's not. It's like big enough where it's not DLC, but it's not like its own thing. So it's like it was like came out for $50 instead of $60. Or you could get bundled with like a remake of the original game for PS5 for like $70. That both of them together.
Yeah. Sounds nice. Who's up next?
I guess Carlos, I thought you had some thoughts on the news, E3 stuff.
Yes, I do. Let's first get ourselves educated, shall we?
Let's go.
First up, let's talk about the returning franchises making a switch over to the Switch. That being Danganronpa celebrating its 10th year anniversary with a 10th year anniversary like a collection of all three main games, including a very new one that's based off of the little Mario Party clone that they made for V3. And they're calling it all together Danganronpa Decadence.
More like Danganronpa Depravity.
Oh, the burn is real.
It really is that sort of game in which, like, yeah, there is a lot of suffering, but the spin-off right now is just going to be like, hey, you want to have some actual fun with a multitude of characters? Not just that, but let's also include the Ultra Despair Girls cast for good measure in this spin-off game. Which means we get possibly maybe like the more developed version of Toko Fukawa, a veteran from the first game, alongside with Kamaru Naegi, aka the main character's little sister in the first game.
Oh. So it's one of those games, huh?
No, I'm just saying,
Beware of little sister.
I mean, no, Ultra Despair Girls was basically sort of like an unorthodox street third-person shooter, in which like the weapon was a microphone dispersing like electromagnetic pulses against the enemies.
Again, beware of little sister.
Is that a Five Nights at Freddy reference?
No, it's a BioShock Infinite reference.
Oh.
No, just bringing up some news in between that. So, if you haven't heard, like, the Five Nights at Freddy creator is basically retiring from gaming for now.
Oh, okay.
because he got harassed when basically some Twitter person started going through like political donations, like, oh, this guy donated to Donald Trump. And he got people started harassing him, and more specifically his pregnant wife, who's having trouble pregnancy. So
leave the wife alone.
No, no, goodness.
Yeah, so
No,
like he's basically retiring.
So
Forever
stupid
the
sometimes.
internet, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's retiring pretty much from gaming, which incidentally I found out through some news like yeah, before Five Nights at Freddy, apparently he did a whole bunch of like Christian themed games. So that's a career switch.
Totally. You said this was the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, the one thing he did, like, he refused to apologize for donating to Trump, which he's apologized, because he's donated to Trump and also Democratic candidates. He basically said, I vote whoever I feel is best for.
Yeah,
I'm doing
like I will say like that's his right. So I don't know.
Because he also, like I said, like even highlighted that he supported a Democrat candidate in Baltimore because he believed she was the best one to help the impoverished, like African American minorities, which are doing really badly in there. And unfortunately she lost. Which I think, pretty sure that's still a Democrat-controlled city, so it must have been a primary thing. But yeah, he voted like that. So yeah, he also, like I said, he refused to back down, which basically caused him to be harassed more, and also his wife harassed more.
Oh no.
Why would they harass? Why would they harass his wife? She has nothing to do with it.
Because people are disgusting.
That's just
like they go after their most like if it was you, right, they would go after somebody in your family that was most exposed to, like, if you had somebody that was sick or somebody that you loved, probably go after somebody that you didn't want to go after.
It's just somebody by association, pretty much.
Yeah, that happens.
It's a bonus if they're in a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
That's just terrible.
Yeah, especially like, if they're sick or something else is happening to them, like prey on the weak. That's what the internet does.
Exactly. That's just
which is disgusting.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Just to sort of give a message, like I do understand why he like stepped back, but one thing he stepped back and he says he was retiring from gaming, but this is mostly because of his wife and all that, and just to help with that. But I'm glad he didn't like basically apologize, because he didn't need to apologize. Like I'm not saying you have to agree with how he donated.
No.
We're
not agreeing with you.
But like it's his, like you're like saying that is his right. Yeah. It wasn't like he was donating to like white supremacist groups.
No, and I'm also like in the belief of like we could come to a compromise if we just like heard it from both sides. And I know like it sounds really, really difficult for people to actually think like this, but if we could just get them like 1% on our path, or maybe even 5, or maybe even more if we like are successful, like wouldn't that be worth something to get like people, turned around just with a little bit more communication? I don't know why people are, not trying to be like, oh, I actually see it from your side. It's I know like it sounds horrible, but yeah.
But
we live in a world that's realized the power of hyperbole and has gotten pretty steeped in the notion of, well, if we don't throw the punch, the other side is going to throw it first. So I don't know.
I do have to remind people. But yeah, I just interject here. Like the main thing I was trying to get to is like the one thing I did respect is he didn't back down. Like he did not apologize to the Twitter masses, which I feel is an important thing to do, because you shouldn't apologize for this, and it's just encouraging bad behavior to basically apologize for something you didn't really have to.
Yeah.
And after mine is like, oh yeah, might get canceled for you, but being canceled really means nothing. Like I have to wind up like
if it's just on Twitter, but like what did he do again?
he
Missed that
donated
part.
like money to some Republican campaigns, including Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, it's not really the kind of like Twitter's demanding an apology, because that's
Oh
not
yeah.
really the kind of thing you demand an apology for. That's like the
No.
kind of thing like, okay, if this guy, like if you find he's clearly shown what he believes in, so if you find someone's beliefs reprehensible, you don't say, I demand an apology. You say, oh, screw
You
that
don't,
guy,
no.
and you
It was actually just more
affiliate with
death
them.
threats and is this
Oh
more death threats and
no,
demanding
why?
apologies. So
So it was not apologies, it was like people sending death threats.
to him and his
Jeez.
wife and family.
Okay, well that is like, I mean, I don't think
Not
it's then
helping.
a question of apologizing for that. Yeah, that's just random people trying to feel big. That's like,
Right.
and committing a crime. That's like,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, we're on.
that's what I was trying to get to is like I do understand why he did sort of retire from that and all that just because
Yeah.
for his wife's sake. But at the same
Mhm.
time, like I said, he didn't apologize for it and he didn't back down from his own opinions.
No.
And I have to remind people was like, yeah, people will fear cancel culture, especially Twitter, but I have to remind people that like look at the people who have not apologized or backed down. Chick-fil-A has been canceled for like over a decade, and they are like the fastest growing food franchise in the U.S.
Yep.
And then, like I said, like there's a whole bunch of cases like people who don't back down, like because at the end of the day, people really don't care about like politics of a product. They care if it's cheap and affordable and works.
And it
Uh,
or it tastes good.
Yeah, and like Chick-fil-A says, like also like a recent
we
like
kind of suck that way.
also like Colin Moriarty, which is like a big in the gaming media, has been canceled for a while. Mostly because being basically a libertarianish. I was in San Francisco with the rest of the gaming media. He did not get along well, but now he has like the largest Patreon in gaming media. Period.
Wow.
Yeah, he has like 12,000 followers. He reached.
Wow.
It's almost like cancel culture was butthurt whining about people. The notion of cancel culture, I should say, was people whining about something that was a nonsensical notion of whether you could actually cancel someone.
Right.
Was instead people getting mad that lots of people were sharing their opinion that someone else's stance was reprehensible.
Right.
Yeah, I think the big thing with cancel culture, that's like I said, Twitter is really the worst part of it, just because the way Twitter aggravates like reactions and all that, it basically is very easy to create a bubble, and if you sort of like can essentially make it seem like the entire internet is against you, even if it's like just 1,000 angry screaming assholes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's yeah. Anyway, let's move on to actually still good news. Back to E3.
Yeah.
Any other news? Like, because I sort of interrupted between Carlos's news stuff.
Yeah, so we also got news about Shin Megami Tensei 5 just before the Danganronpa news.
Oh my goodness.
Basically, this is basically the setup seems very similar to Nocturne, except for a lot of people theorize this might be actually the law route, probably major focus storyline for the Shin Megami Tensei universe. Because many of the other ones that have been popularized have been sort of been focused on like the more chaotic side, or maybe even the more on the neutral side in Four's case.
Oh
This
wow.
one might seem to be like bringing order to a lawless alternative of Japan, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
In which the main character gets isekai and basically joins together with like an unknown deity and such in order to become some sort of violet waving long-haired like a spirit and such.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what happens afterwards is like we see the HUD for like Shin Megami Tensei 5, and it looks like they just ripped it off of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, that crossover from SMT and Fire Emblem actually,
Oh.
which I'm just saying, it kind of looks a bit off-putting how clean it looks because in comparison to other Shin Megami Tensei games in which they like to go for the more grungy look,
Mm-hmm.
this one just looks way too clean for like a Shin Megami Tensei game, honestly,
Ah,
and a bit basic if you can understand that sort of bit of a complaint, you know. But
gotcha.
but like aside from that, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a redesign for like the demons here, with like the new art director like still paying tribute to the original art designer for many of the demons,
Mm-hmm.
Kozaka, like by making like little touches to make them look like still reminiscent of the old demons, but just with like some new details and stuff, including redesigning the Tenkus from like being like little flying like demon birds to like just being like uh, a small woman wearing like tenku dresses, basically,
Wow.
to be like an alternative take for the tenku, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like little slight changes to that as well. And it looks like we might be getting some Irish folk hero as like one of the newcomers for the demon roster. So
Oh,
hey,
hey,
more folklore.
something different.
Yeah, so it's like his final attack seems to be the one sword that only he can hold himself. So that's like, it was a clear giveaway what was his name basically.
Right.
hmm So yeah, all in all, I just feel like the series itself was like a great, and I really can't wait to see any more like details about like his possible friends who seemingly also got trapped in the alternative world, and like even the angel designs don't look so BTSM anymore. Like they look like very glorified golden statues with like un unclosing eyes now. So
Mm-hmm.
it still keeps up with the creepiness factor of Shin Megami Tensei.
Mm.
With like something that looks beautiful, but if you look at it too close, you just see like, ah, now it's starting to make me feel a bit nervous.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. Just letting you know, when it comes to Shin Megami Tensei, do not trust just angels or demons.
mm-hmm.
It's not gonna go well either way.
Gotcha.
So I guess the last thing to note here is just let's see. We have not gone to the discussion about for the Super Smash Brothers reveal, huh?
Mm.
Mr. Kazuya from Tekken is making a come in,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, okay, at least it's not Heihachi.
Yeah.
God knows how many
Got a
times
point.
we've seen Heihachi. Oh, Tekken
Yeah.
is just one of those like fighting games that's just like it's super influential, especially when it comes to soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
So diverse and such that like everyone knows it. Everyone who's played it knows how good it is. It comes with even off the wall wacky characters, including an actual panda as a fighter. That was actually like Heihachi's like old long time like fighting partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the tradition of throwing your enemies into a volcano has never been richer in Tekken.
Ah.
Yeah, trying to throw Kirby in a volcano didn't go as well as he thought.
Yeah, yeah. Should have defeated the little puffball before throwing them in there. But that's really the case for like the Tekken series. This influential family in which got like some sort of demon genes. Like, yeah, this is kind of like the reason why like Heihachi starts throwing like his family members into the volcano in order to prevent them from like stopping his evil plans.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So not to say Heihachi's a good guy. No, he's basically like the end game boss.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. Really
Um,
hard endgame boss too.
hmm Let me just, yeah. I
The only
guess
one
this.
I can think about is worse is actually like Goro from Mortal Kombat. Not Shang Tsung, but Goro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Then you got Kitaro and Shiva.
Mhm.
mm, it's like, mm, Yeah, so I guess I don't really have anything else to say unless if something were to come up in my head. Does anyone else have any interesting highlights they want to mention?
Nope, can't think of any at the moment.
No, not really, no.
All right. I guess that moves on to our short but sort of topic of the episode, which is, I guess that this will be a more shorter one, but sort of spinning off from E3, which is the one other big thing that wasn't announced at Nintendo's E3 press conference that also was very expected, even though I didn't expect it, which was their new their Pro Switch slash Nintendo Switch Plus slash new Switch, whatever. We don't have any idea what they even plan on naming it, but the new model Switch that we do know is in some form of production and will at least be able to export 4K video. Like air quotes, because some people think it's going to be like 4K, but by all accounts, it seems to be as powerful as like a base PS4, just with the ability to render video footage, like basically upscale to 4K built in. And it will have apparently a 720p screen still, but it will be a OLED screen, and it will be slightly larger, essentially taking up all the little bezel that's around the screen and on a Switch and removing that. So it will still be like the same size as a regular Switch, but just have like a bigger screen of a higher quality.
Oh, so like mine and my DS XL.
Yeah, it's basically it's going to have more power and all. That's basically the new DS SL or also the 3DS, new 3DS.
So maybe we should wait with getting a Switch until that comes out, huh, Jen? Getting the bigger one. Do you want the bigger ones?
Jen?
Yo. Yeah. Yo.
Yeah, like the Daylover was just asking, like, also instead of holding off for the newer Switch before getting your Switches, right?
Oh yeah. I had no idea like what they were like a Switch. I had no idea like what they were like, which one, if there was like two separate consoles or whatever. But yeah.
It's not confirmed yet, but basically, when you're making some this big production, like people are going to find out like you're making something. So we know, like we pretty much know that they are making a new Switch. They just haven't announced it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we just know some specific details from parts that have been ordered. Like we know they have like a 720, but it's an OLED. It's like the same resolution, but it's like a better quality screen on it, and it's going to like be able to export 4K video. Apparently, be about as powerful as our base PS4. So and it's coming out maybe this fall, most likely early next year for the new anniversary of when the Switch is released.
Mm-hmm.
Like springtime.
Oh, okay. So by like next spring.
Most likely next spring, but also possibly still this year because Nintendo is very weird with hardware.
Yeah.
So it's like
I don't think I can wait until next spring to.
I wonder. I wonder if the best thing to do is to wait until spring for like the updated Switch. Or
apparently it will be more expensive though. So
okay,
no!
Damn it.
Again, just going on rumors because it's this rumors, but apparently this model is going to become like some say they might discontinue the old regular Switch and just have the Switch Lite.
Oh no!
Just have the Switch Lite and then the new Switch, which would be like $400.
Wow.
Darn.
Again, those are rumors.
I'm really thinking about like buying here I can still get the Nintendo Switch that's have Animal Crossing like painted on it or what it is. Now I'm really debating with myself if I should just go for that or not.
Wow.
Because I heard it sold out in USA, so I'm just like, should I, should I not?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Shoot. I'm worried about the newer, because the newer consoles. Like, what if the old stuff or the stuff I really wanted on there can't play on it?
Oh no, it'll be able to play. Just like it'll just be, it's like a 3DS and like a 3DS, the new 3DS. Like it'll play all the old games. Maybe some have exclusives to it, but I don't think they will have any Nintendo exclusives to it, just because the Switch is sold so well.
Right.
Yeah. That would also be stupid to be like, oh, we have exclusives for this Switch, not this Switch. Like, people would be so angry.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, even with the 3DS, like they only had like I think less than 5 games that were, like could only be played on the new 3DS. Which one of us is like Xenoblade Chronicles, and just because it had like more RAM in it and stuff like that. So some games are possible. I think it was also like a One Piece game. Also was one of the few things. But yeah, like some people said, oh, there might be some exclusives, like, oh, that's why the new Pokemon game that's coming out next year, the Pokemon Legends, it's like, oh, that's why it looks so good or something like that, because it's actually running on the new the new Switch hardware. But yeah, like I said, that's sort of the topic. Is like, yeah, that's not out yet, but like it's rumors, and basically it's like we know it's coming, we just don't know what it is yet.
Gotcha.
So like how, like for the PS5 and Xbox One Series X, whatever, when it was like we knew they were coming beforehand, like and we knew the general things, like, oh, they're going to have SSDs and that's going to be a big selling point, but we don't know the exact specifics and all that.
Gotcha.
Which yeah, like I said, I probably won't upgrade for the new Switch just because I'm currently happy with my Switch with what it is. Because I really don't play Switch for the HD games. I play mostly for the Nintendo games and a few like specific other stuff.
Actually, something that could be fun, like if you could make game that came out for the Switch, what would you like to have?
Like what?
Like if you could have your dream game coming out for the Switch, what would it be? Like if you had all of the money and all of the people behind the project that needed to be behind it, like what would you like to see coming out for Switch?
Probably the game I guess sort of going in that vein, which is like the game I'm looking forward to most, that's not been announced yet or anything like that.
Yeah.
I would like to see get a lot of budget behind it would be, I would say, Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Oh.
Because that team is working on something, like Monolith Soft is working on some other projects, but we just don't know yet because they just released last year the remake of Xenoblade Chronicles 1. So they're working on something, we don't know what, and they also probably help with the new Breath of the Wild because Monolith Soft, who does the Xenoblade Chronicles, they're the one who essentially built the world for the Breath of the Wild. Because they're the open world team essentially for Nintendo.
Gotcha.
That's the one I'm looking forward to most. It hasn't been announced, and I hope it gets a pretty good budget behind it because compared to like 1, it's like an X to 2, you can really see how they're starting to embrace a certain like their own style. So I'm really looking forward to like their Xenoblade Chronicles 3, maybe even a spin-off game that they do like what X was essentially, and like have a newer game that just like embraces the style even more.
Oh, hey guys, my time's up. I actually gotta run.
All right.
Okay, sorry guys.
Yeah, have a good one, Jen.
Good hanging with you, Jen.
All right, see you guys later.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. But yeah, I don't think we worry that much more because that's sort of the topic of the show is like the thoughts on the new 3DS and also sort of like if you feel the current Switch is too weak or not. But I think, like I said, we brought up like, oh yeah, this topic was cut a little short, but like me realizing, oh yeah, I'm the only one with the actual Switch in here.
So far.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I guess going up that, so I could still ask that question is, do you feel the current Switch is too weak to sort of continue, as is, like they need a new one or not?
I would love one. I don't care.
They have a habit of
which
making
one
one
it is.
whether there's one needed or not.
Like I have the the DSXL, and I was really happy to have that. So I don't know if it's going to be the same with the Switch, but I'm just like seeing all of these people playing, like, for example, the Animal Crossing or Pokemon Snap or Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, and I'm just like, I want to play that too, so bad. Yeah. So no, I don't think like it's going to be a thing that goes out of style. Maybe they will, as you said, like make a better version of it, but yeah, I don't think like it's. I think it's going to be a while before we get the next new console. Yeah. Better be something that can play all games from all consoles. Like, that could be amazing. That is what I want. Like, almost like a PC, but where, like, it could also play, like, old PlayStation games. It could play, like, DS games. It could play, like, Xbox games, whatever you wanted. Now, that would be amazing.
Lending companies here.
Well, like, if, like, I know this is never going to happen, but, like, imagine, like, all of the companies went together and been like, no, we're going to put out one console that just plays everything. And I know, like, you can get stuff for your PC, so you can actually, you know, play PlayStation games on your PC. You can get an emulator for that, but I'm also like, there's no emulator for Switch. At least not yet. So, yeah. Just saying that could be amazing. And if I had to make a game, I guess like I would make a mixture of like Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Go, and then what is that, the third one, the Animal Crossing, like a game that was a mixture of all those three together. That would probably be too much, but it would be fun. Woo!
Yeah, if I were to answer that question,
Yeah.
it would honestly be the dream remake of the second Mystery Dungeon game.
Oh,
Explorers of
okay.
Time, Darkness, and Sky.
Nice.
The moment that if I hear any moment like this, I would be more than willing to sell my entire new Nintendo 3DS in order just to raise up all the money just for that remake.
You heard it here first, game developers. Get on it.
I'm being dead
Gator will be
serious.
first in line.
That game is mythical. Literally one of the best games of all time.
Yeah.
That is how legendary that game is. I would be remiss to miss it. I was a bit saddened. I was a bit saddened by like missing the first game, even though I never played it. But the second game, I know how legendary that game is. I am not missing a chance to like relive that adventure in glorious 3D, or maybe even like in a nice crayon-y art style. Seriously, the story
like
speaks for itself.
Paper Mario style.
I'm just saying. And you want to know what would be even more sick? If they added Grovyle to Smash Brothers. That would just be the day I would just hypothetically die at that point. I would literally just be like, oh goodness, it can't be Grovyle. My heart can't take it.
Oh, no.
I'm being serious. If they ever put Grovyle Smash Brothers, that would be the breaking point. That is how awesome of a character he is.
Fan favorites, though, I think he's, like, there are a couple ahead of him in line, I guess I should say.
No, I mean, you're just talking about, like, someone to represent the Mystery Dungeon side series. That guy would be it. That Pokemon, even though he's a starter, he
Mm,
legitimately carries the game on his two grassy shoulders.
mm,
He's that great of a character, and I
mm.
love him for it.
What about you, Second? Do you have a dream game? The non-gamer.
Just a dream game.
Yeah, like imagine like okay, the new Switch comes out, but in addition to that, like the game, like if you could have any game that you wanted, you can also reimagine making your own game like I did with the mixture of 3 games and put
Dragon
it on the
Quest
Switch.
series, including 11, I guess.
Ooh, that sounds amazing too.
11.
Yeah. I already have Final Fantasy on my Steam, so I don't need Final Fantasy for Switch.
Fair enough.
Ooh. But I think it's interesting to figure out, like, hear what everybody wants for, like, future gaming.
But also, I didn't bring it up like because you said top thing, which I would say, yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which seeing what that team could do with more time and also just refining their stuff more, like I really look forward to. But in a more immediate future, like I really do like. I haven't written it off, like I said, but I really do hope there is a 3-game Zelda collection coming out to honor like the 35th anniversary, like they had Mario last year.
Uh-huh.
I really do
Wasn't
hope they have.
this release of this Zelda the 30-year one, or am I missing something?
As of now, the Skyward Sword is the only sort of thing tying in with that.
Oh, okay.
And everyone's reaction to Skyward Sword getting that is basically the same as like people's excitement for Avengers. Like it's like, oh yeah, this one, because Skyward Sword is like, yeah, Skyward Sword is like the redheaded stepchild of like the 3D Zelda games.
But it just looks so beautiful, though. Even though that I'm not a Zelda gamer, I have not even played the first one. Like the closest one I have played is Soleil, but nobody knows what that is. So.
Well, yeah, I played like that's why I do really want the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker bundled together in like a remake.
Actually,
especially since like there's an.
I just thought about something that I would really like for the Switch. Something like old Sega games, and I know again you can get an emulator and you can play it on your computer, but how amazing could it be like if they remade like stuff like Soleil or The Lion King or We Are Monsters or stuff like that? That would be amazing.
They released a whole bunch of like old like licensed games they resold them on PlayStation and Switch and Xbox. Like the old like Lion King game, the old
oh my god, I need that so bad.
Like the old Lion game,
it's
like
hard, but I did complete it when I was younger. I don't know if I can complete it now, but sure.
Yeah, gosh, what's the word like thinking of? Aladdin games, like.
Oh no, Aladdin is just so hard too.
It's a lot of them are mixed. I forget because there's like 1 or 2 that are because of licensing deals not included in it, but like a lot of them are. And I know the Lion King, I'm pretty sure, is one of them.
Yeah, I want like stuff like Bejeweled or weird old games nobody have ever heard of. Or maybe that's just me.
No, I think we've all heard of Bejeweled. More specifically, really? All the like knockoffs of Bejeweled.
Yes, that's true. But that could be amazing, like having Soleil on Switch. Couldn't imagine that.
But I guess with that said, any other closing thoughts before we wrap up for this week?
No.
Let's see, this is more back to the general news stories, but if anyone's interested, I wanted to do, when I thought about it, like something for Pride Month other than a tweet like, yeah, happy Pride Month, go get 'em, but didn't know what I was qualified to quote-unquote do as a project goes, and then I thought, well, what if I ground it strictly within something I do know about, and I came up with the top 10 LGBTQ fighters of all time, professional combat sports athletes, just purely most impressive accomplishments top 10. Still have an ambition to still make it a fully fleshed out blog, but on the offhand event that doesn't happen since I actually ended up learning about some really cool people. I want to put it down somewhere. Anyone mind if I run through it real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I guess that's a really good aspiration there, Second. For me, this is something a little bit less widespread or shared, but I kind of recently found like a Japanese app game that I'm trying out right now. That kind of feels very fitting for this month for LGBT representation, in which it's a
Nice.
game that's just it's called Tokyo After School Seminars. I only learned of its existence from like waifu and husbando bots over on Discord server chats. Like
Tokyo After Sports Seminars?
After School Seminars.
After School Seminars, okay.
Yeah, it's a very odd title. It's really like a game in which you basically go and summon demons and such. Apparently, like Tokyo gets like
like you do in schools every day.
Basically, Tokyo gets invaded by a giant warp gate that connects itself with 24 other planes of existence, and all those creatures just come flowing through this gateway.
Oh, so a normal Tuesday. No, just kidding.
Yeah. So basically, like, the entirety of society in Tokyo has forever been revolutionized. It's been, like, basically 5 decades since the incident, and it's now recently come to a sense of normality in which, like, these outer worldly creatures are, like, paired up with, like, humans just to be seen by the watchful eye of man's government, just so that we can understand all the situations, and it's sort of like this weird setup in which, like, oh, this mobile app game that makes you temporarily into a summoner, a person who is able to summon other creatures from other worlds. Yeah, that's just a lot of more chaos there in the works. But the thing about it that makes it for interesting representation is apparently you can ship yourself a bunch of like the cast. It seems a bit more predominantly for like the male on male side. But yeah, for like in terms of like its marketing, but hey, you could still be like a girl and ship yourself with like a girl avatar if you wanted to. But, like, yeah. So that's basically like the game. Like I feel like after me playing it for like 2 days, I'm just like, it seems not like it's like a big time either. Just play it when you feel like you have time, maybe for like 30 minutes or an hour. See how you feel about it. It's just like the usual setup for like a lot of these animes, but I say give it a shot.
Oh, I missed what you said. You said that was connected to what I was saying.
Yeah, or just like the Pride Month thing, like showing like attention to like the minorities and such for like sexual orientations. That's why.
I made an artwork of RuPaul with rainbow hair. That's what I did.
Yeah, and like I said, just because I do actually spend a lot of time studying boxing and MMA, I love the sports a lot. So, what was it? Yeah, top 10 LGBTQ fighters. Number 10, Orlando Cruz, first openly gay boxer. The kind like high up there, worked his way up to a couple of title shots. Didn't win him, but yeah, he was fairly big deal in the sport for a while. Patricio Manuel, first transgender man to have a pro boxing career. Didn't last long, but even had a winning record, so that was cool. Number 8, Jermaine Dirandani, first UFC lightweight women's champ. She shied away from fighting Chris Cyborg, cited the steroid use. I was one of the people rolling my eyes at her at the time, but then she put together this like really gritty streak, including a massive effort against the very greatest women's MMA fighter of all time, so I'm left standing here like, oh, my mistake. She is actually the greatest bantamweight contender currently in the sport, and is currently rocking this bio that reads like a whatever the hell I want lifestyle. A cop in the Netherlands, where she used to be a former psychiatric nurse and lives now with her girlfriend and is currently the #1 contender again. So that's interesting. 7, Fallon Fox, first MMA transgender woman to compete. That ended sadly, in the circumstances of which kind of show because we suck. One of her fights ended in an injury, and whoa, like a permanent injury? No, just an injury. Oh, well then clearly this fighter who isn't even undefeated in the division has a grotesquely unfair advantage. And that was the end of that, so. But, alright, 6. Yusuf Mack had a self-described odd journey to self-acceptance of his bisexuality, but worked his way up to a lot of title fights. Again, didn't quite win it, but he was a serious contender for a while there. Like, he was, actually a pretty tough customer. I'm sorry, that was number 5. Number 4, Christy Martin, who was the trailblazing women's boxing champion, kind of put it on the map, had a combination of toughness and talent unheard of at the time, so like less the Muhammad Ali of women's boxing and more the John L. Sullivan. But if you want a painful, heart-wrenching, inspiring drama, read the free article online. It's called The Remarkable Life and Near Death of Boxer Christy Martin by Alison Glock, about how she survived her Ted Bundy manager who blackmailed her into marrying him and also letting him take over her entire life, and I mean literally survived him. He's now serving 25 years, but yeah, she went on to marry one of her former boxing opponents and now runs a major promotion, and you might have seen her recently as one of the judges in Mike Tyson's big comeback fight, aka the only one who got the score right. That was kind of weird. But, alright, number 3, Ann Wolfe, probably the greatest women's boxer of all time, kind of person who had to claw her way up from the really, really ugly side of life, so her story plays like a comic book anti-hero's, except a real one, not a suburban edgelord who acts like a jackass and then says, I'm just being honest. But yeah, morality debates aside, it's kind of scary how hard she hits if you watch her YouTube highlights reel. She was the champion in 3 weight classes at once. Only one other person has done that. Currently raising a son with her ex-girlfriend, and you might have recognized her as one of the Amazons in Wonder Woman, and she was specifically requested for that for her resume, and all right, that was number 4. Emil Griffith, number 3, champion of a couple of different weight classes over time, constantly ranked in all-time great lists, in spots, pretty good, beat some legendary fighters. He was bisexual. People started to find out back in the 60s and 70s, and I don't have to tell you that there are some stories of hardship in his life, but yeah, he made it through. He's, like I said, powered through, made it as one of the all-time greats. Number 2, Panama Al Brown. He's a legend, possibly the greatest bantamweight champion of all time, 6 feet tall, 135 pounds. I don't know how you do that. Killed me to get down to 135 pounds, and I'm 5'7", so geez. And he hit really hard, so yeah. He was in the 30s, the 20s, and 30s, and he didn't even try to hide the fact that he was gay. He basically lived however the hell he wanted, moved to Paris, liked to dress snappy, go out, live around town, live it up, did a lot of song and dance shows. He had some talent that way, had a long-term relationship with a famous French poet. This sounds like some kind of Hollywood romance that they haven't gone on making yet. So, like I said, living legend. And number 1, of course, is Amanda Nunes, the GOAT. Champion in 2 weight classes. You might remember Ronda Rousey from a couple of years back. Amanda Nunes has kind of taken over for her, and they can't make, I guess, as much of a thing out of her because she doesn't get in everybody's face with any, crude trash talk she can think of, but she is charismatic, and she is kind of hard rock personified. She, out of nowhere, she didn't have the strongest start, and now she's, cleaned out the division with everyone who, basically proved that they could do anything, and that's with some pretty darn proven fighters in there. And she credits her relationship, getting to be in a relationship with another half-decent MMA fighter, her wife, who, I guess is also her sparring partner slash, strategic collaborator slash, lots of things, but mainly wife. So, she's on a real hot streak right now. She's already the GOAT, and who knows how much longer it's even going to continue. So that is really cool. And that's my list. Thanks for coming.
Woo!
Great detailing on these many great wrestlers and fighters as well. MMA,
MMA, boxing, all of the above.
Wow.
But I was like,
All right.
I won't hold you up anymore. Go ahead.
Nope. All right. But as I said, see y'all next week, or not next week. I'm so used to reacts. See you, I guess, in July, technically.
Yes.
See y'all then, and have a good
Take
week.
care.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.